everyone! Well, Silent Hill Townfall just got a brand new trailer and a brand new behind-the-scenes look with some new gameplay in the Sony State of Play and Silent Hill transmission a few days ago, and there's lots of interesting new details and theories to discuss, so let's get right into it. First, I just want to talk briefly about my thoughts on the new trailer. I absolutely love that we're getting another first-person Silent Hill. I was hoping it would be a full-length first-person game when I saw the first trailer a few years ago. This game looks like it'll be a pretty hard and nightmarish game for me personally to finish though, since I have a deep hatred and fear of both needles and IVs. So this time the fear will be deeply personal for me. I am surprised though that it has combat. I mean, I would have been just as happy with no combat as well. After all, not all horror games need to have combat to be scary and enjoyable. I mean, some of my favorite horror games have offered little or no combat and have been just as scary. And sometimes it's scarier when you can't fight back and have to run and hide. That said though, I'm glad they were able to incorporate some combat into the game. I just wish we could honestly get a VR version or a VR mode for this game later on, as the first person view and combat lends itself really well to VR, and motion controls from the UEVR Silent Hill 2 remake first person mode that some people were able to get working online. I would absolutely love to be able to eventually play this game in VR and get to finally experience a Silent Hill game in VR. Moving on though, I'm not gonna lie, I am a little disappointed that it's not set in the town of Silent Hill, especially with a title like Townfall. I honestly would have loved to have played a prequel exploring the 1800s in Silent Hill, to see some of the past history of Silent Hill and its early inhabitants delved into. But aside from that, I'm actually pretty excited about it and how it's taking place in Scotland this time. I know it's controversial with it not taking place in Silent Hill again, but like Silent Hill F did with Japanese folklore and culture, it'll be interesting to see them explore other cultures and countries. And England, Scotland, and Ireland have always interested me with their rich and often tragic history. They are abundant in Celtic folklore, legends of monsters, hauntings, and spiritual places of power and tragedy. I remember I used to love watching and learning all about the castles, the sad fates of those who lived there, and all the different reported hauntings and ghost sightings. I'll actually never forget learning about the haunting of the Tower of London and the scary sightings of one of Henry VIII's wives, Anne Boleyn, who would frequently wander around with no face and head. It honestly scared the heck out of me when I was a teen, and I couldn't sleep for a week. Anyway, let's analyze the trailer and see what we can find. This trailer picks up right where the first reveal teaser trailer ended. To briefly recap, in that brief trailer from 3 years ago, we had a man's voice asking someone what they were doing in this place. The voice explains that we are here to be punished. The voice continues, claiming, "You know what? I think you're right. We've done something so awful that we are now stuck in this place, being judged by these people." An inaudible female voice briefly cuts in, but then the guy continues talking to us, saying that for us, he thinks it's more than that, and that he thinks we're here for some other reason than guilt and being punished. He then closes with the ominous words that he doesn't want to be anywhere near us when we figure that out. The new trailer picks up right after this as a woman's voice with a seemingly British or Scottish accent comes over the portable pocket radio, which the developers are calling a CRTV. She identifies the main character as Simon, and the official website reveals his full name to be Simon Ordell. She tells him that he can't stay in this room forever, and that she can't stay in this room forever either. As he picks up the radio, she continues telling him that she knows that it will be hard, but he has to come back to her. Then she pleads for him to come back to her. On the surface, this does seem very Silent Hill 2 coded. According to the developers, the game takes place in 1996 in Scotland. We have a girlfriend or wife begging her husband or boyfriend to come back to her, and he decides to go to a town in Scotland called St. Amelia in order to find out what's going on and to try to put things right, as the official website states. It feels very Silent Hill 2-ish, which I feel is probably an intentional misdirect from the developers. In some behind-the-scenes interviews with the developers, they mentioned subverting expectations, so I think this will turn out to be the opposite of guilt and being guilty of something horrible and being punished for it like some of the other Silent Hill games. The very first trailer strongly hinted at that as well, with the male voice telling us that we are here for some other reason rather than guilt and being judged. In the new trailer, it is revealed that Simon has some sort of IV bag attached to his arm, along with a medical wristband with his name and date of birth on it. The creatures in the trailer also seem to have IVs and needles coming out of them, which is gonna be absolutely terrifying for those like me who have a deep fear of needles and especially IVs. Simon claims he woke up in the water again, which I assume is how we'll end up starting the game, or at the very least how he'll arrive in the town of St. Amelia. Seems like he might be in some kind of loop and maybe keeps waking up in the water back at the beginning. This time though, he claims it's different and sees the sign "Welcome to St. Amelia," which could either mean two things. One, that it's different because he was expecting to be in a different town or place, but somehow ended up in St. Amelia instead. Or it could simply mean that the town of St. Amelia is different, now being enveloped in the deep fog. Then we see a few interesting signs. A note taped to the police department informing everyone that there is nothing they can do until help arrives. A banner which says that whatever heart this town has stopped. Another sign saying the town is ours, and a sign begging for their town to be saved. We see signs of a company called CEG on the welcome sign, and later on also see signs with CEG crossed out as well. We also see some other signs, one that says we need the truth, another that demands the fairies be let back in, and an interesting one that reads "a crime in our community." To me, this indicates that the only way to get to this island is by ferry and that they are trapped there, but I'll get into that more later. Simon says he keeps trying to fix what happened, but no matter what he does, he can't seem to fix it. The woman claims that it doesn't let them change things. We see Simon open a box with a gun and some bullets in it. Then we get a close-up of his wristband, which shows his date of birth to be October 15th, 1959. The woman says that he did what he did, although we don't know what it is exactly that he did. We see a creepy monster with an IV coming out of them and another monster with an axe-shaped head that appears to have its arms tightly strapped to it. We get a good look at combat and another monster who also has their arms strapped together like they're also in a straitjacket. This seems to symbolize that maybe Simon is currently strapped down to a hospital bed, or has been in the past, or has been in an asylum in a psych ward and maybe used to wear a straitjacket as well. There's a lot we can dive into here. First is the distinct IV and medical wristband that Simon has taped to his arm, the dialogue from the woman at the beginning of the trailer, and the designs of the monsters with the IV and the strapped down arms. To me, this all seems to hint that Simon is in a hospital of some kind, in some kind of coma, suffering from some kind of injury or medical problem. If you look closely at the images that flash briefly on the CRTV, you'll be able to see a chair in some kind of room that does look like it could be a hospital room. There's also what looks to be a hospital machine or heart monitor overlooking some kind of bed, and a flash of a woman with short hair in some sort of outfit. It's hard to say for sure though if it's a nurse's outfit or just a woman's uniform or dress, so it could be either his girlfriend or wife that we hear on the radio, or could also be one of the nurses taking care of him. I think there's honestly two possibilities here. The first one I thought of when I saw the monster with the IV coming out of its chest. The monster seems to rip open its chest where its heart is, which actually made me think of a heart surgery or some kind of heart transplant. The first possibility we could be dealing with here is that Simon could be suffering from heart problems of some kind, which lead to him either needing a heart transplant or maybe even an arm replacement. This could explain why the IV is coming out of the monster, and why Simon still has the IV in his arm. It would also explain why the town has a monument that says the Heart of St. Amelia, and why there is a banner claiming that whatever heart this town had has stopped, because this is symbolic and metaphoric of Simon's own heart having stopped and possibly a new heart taking its place. It would honestly be really cool if this was the case, because there are stories of people actually experiencing someone else's memories and feelings, taking on a donor's personality traits or preferences seen in such films like The Eye. It would be a pretty unique approach to the story if Simon is actually experiencing these memories and being in St. Amelia, not because they are his memories or experiences, but because they're his donor's experiences and memories after getting a heart or arm transplant. The second possibility is that perhaps Simon tried to take his own life for some reason. It could be he did something he deeply regrets doing, like somehow being involved in something bad, or it could be that his his wife or girlfriend left him, or has been suffering from some kind of illness like cancer that he is dying from. With the gun they show, though, he also could have shot himself, or with him waking up in water, he could have also tried drowning or cutting himself in the bathtub. I think the woman talking him through the CRTV portable radio is his girlfriend or wife, who is probably talking to him either on his deathbed or while he is on life support in a coma at the hospital. This could very well be the thing that the woman is talking about him doing. They are getting us to believe that he did something bad to someone and he's guilty of something, but the thing he's guilty of could simply be that he took or tried to take his own life, thus leading him to be in this coma and in this predicament. The CRTV is particularly interesting to me because there's always been rumors and speculation on what happens when a person is actually in a coma. Some people say you can actually hear people talking around you while being in a coma. Some people have even woken up from comas claiming that they heard their loved ones talking to them or seen glimpses of their loved ones in the hospital around them. So I think having a radio in the foggy world and hearing or seeing glimpses of what's going on around him at the hospital while he's in a coma would actually be really fitting here. I think the flashes of images and videos and the voices coming through the CRTV is probably brief glimpses or snippets of what's actually going on in the hospital inside Simon's room as he lies in a coma. This could even explain why the town he's visiting is called St. Amelia, because the name of it sounds way more like the name of a hospital than an actual town, and is a symbolic parallel to his experience of being stuck in this hospital, unable to escape. Speaking of St. Amelia, having grown up in a Catholic family, I actually looked into St. Amelia and discovered some fascinating stories about her. She is the patron saint of fishermen and upper arm injuries. She is also known as Amalbergia of Thames and was born in Belgium and is typically invoked to heal intestinal disease, fever, as well as pain in the arm and shoulders. The legend goes that she was raised by Saint Landrada and grew up as a virgin and devout Christian woman. Rumors spread of her renowned beauty, innocence, nobility, and devoutness, and she became greatly revered. This supposedly attracted the attention of King Pepin the Short, who wanted her to marry his son, Charlemagne. When she declined, though, Charlemagne came to the abbey to persuade her. She declined him again, though, and ran away, leading King Pepin to marry his son to Queen Hildegard. After searching for her, Charlemagne eventually discovered her hiding in a church and was horrified to see that she had cut her hair in an effort to disguise herself and hide from him. Charlemagne burst into a fit of rage and tried dragging her from the church. He broke her arm, but it miraculously healed almost immediately. Thankfully, she was able to escape from him again to the riverbanks of the Scheldt River, where it is said that an enormous sturgeon fish carried her on its back safely to Thames, where she became a nun under Landrada. Historians claim that Charlemagne was unable to move her, owing to a mysterious power that rendered her immovable. After that, they say Charlemagne became very ill, but when he repented, they say Amelia forgave him, and because of that was healed through her prayers. Saint Amelia died at the age of 31. It is said that since then, the fishermen of the Scheldt River offer a sturgeon fish to her each year on her feast day to her chapel in Thames, while a procession occurs in celebration of her 3 times a year. There's also another interesting story about a miraculous fountain, a spring that had bubbled up in a field near Thames, which the townspeople went to use, destroying the crops there. The story goes that when the owner refused to allow access to it, Amelia herself went up to the spring, filling a sieve with water and brought it to a nearby field, where another spring appeared where she spilled the water. The old spring eventually dried up and a chapel was built there, which would eventually become a pilgrimage site for miraculous cures. According to the stories, long after St. Amelia's death, a wicked woman visited the spring and pilgrimage, praying for conversion at the well. This woman was healed if she remained within a short distance of the spring, but would then suddenly become paralyzed again if she attempted to leave the spring or area. Perhaps like the story I just mentioned, maybe Simon and the people of the town as well are unable to leave the town of St. Amelia because St. Amelia is the hospital where he's currently residing in a coma, unable to move on and unable to wake up. If the story of Silent Hill Townfall and the town being named St. Amelia has any connection to the history and stories of this real-life St. Amelia and what supposedly happened with Charlemagne, then it could also be that perhaps the people on this town or or island are somehow guilty of maybe even forcing women to stay there against their will. The male voice in the original trailer did mention that the townspeople might be stuck there because they did something awful. Perhaps the protagonist himself was also part of this, either helping the villagers in whatever crimes they were committing, or trying to force his girlfriend to continue to be with him because he attempted to take his own life. Since the game seems to take place in a town that you can only get to by boat or ferry, that means it may be an island or disconnected from the mainland. This would probably explain why the town is barely surviving and why nothing can be done to save them, especially if they're all trapped there and their food and supplies are running dangerously low. Saint Amelia being the patron saint of upper arm injuries, and Simon also having an IV attached to his arm and somehow being ill or injured is definitely not just a coincidence. There must be some connection there, which is why I'm actually wondering if there was some kind of assault that happened on some woman in the town, or if the villagers of this town might have done something to a woman or a group of women, and that maybe Simon is involved somehow. There doesn't appear to be any connections yet to the actual town of Silent Hill, but White Claudia could be involved again if the townspeople have been smuggling in drugs. There does seem to be a weird cult-like vibe that I got with the townspeople and all the signs around the town, so perhaps the Order or even maybe another cult could be operating in this town. From the earlier trailer, the townspeople there do seem to be harboring some kind of dark secret and some kind of guilt for something they did, as the man mentioned. It makes me wonder if there might be some kind of cult involved with these townspeople. Perhaps the townspeople worship Saint Amelia, sacrificing women or outsiders to her or their deity for a bountiful fish harvest. But now there's simply no more fish, no more fairies coming, the town is cut off from the outside world, and the townspeople now are all trapped there now with no food and no hope of surviving. It would be a pretty cool connection though if maybe Simon is actually in a coma in a hospital in Silent Hill, maybe reliving his own past and what happened in this other place. That would be a pretty nice connection where we could find out that Simon now is old and on his deathbed in a hospital in Silent Hill. One more interesting thing I'd personally like to point out here is that the town of St. Amelia is actually based on the real Scottish town of St. Monans, a small fishing community and tourist destination. The developers of the game mention this in the Silent Hill transmission. The town is named after St. Monan, who was killed by invading Danes in 875. The developers noted that most of the locations that we'll be visiting in Silent Hill Townfall are actually based on real-life locations in the real-life town of St. Monan. Two of the most prominent locations that I think will be in Townfall will be a big church based on the Auld Kirk of St. Monans, or St. Monan's Church, which is a beautiful church overlooking the sea. Supposedly King David II of Scotland had the church built and restored when his life was saved during a violent storm after he had offered up prayers to St. Monan for safety. According to an account written for Mary Queen of Scots, a significant battle occurred within a short distance from the church as well. It is said that the Scottish army turned to fight and defeat the invading English army at St. Monans. However, all of the written records were lost when Oliver Cromwell ordered all Scottish records to be shipped to the Tower of London, which were said to be lost at sea en route. As one of the most famous churches in the world, I definitely think we'll be exploring a church in Silent Hill Townfall based on the Church of St. Monans. Though perhaps the most interesting place in St. Monan is the supposedly haunted ruins of Newark Castle. These ruins are said to have a very special dark and foreboding atmosphere surrounding the area. The kind of aura where you can imagine that the walls would whisper with deep secrets and hidden stories to tell and share. Actually, the site where Newark Castle sits was considered one of the best defensive locations on the coast. With the town of the game being based on St. Monans, I honestly can't see them passing up the opportunity to incorporate some of their famous landmarks and history, especially ones as big as a prominent church and a dark foreboding castle or ruins with deep disturbing mysteries and secrets behind it. Anyway, those are my thoughts and theories right now on the trailer for Silent Hill Townfall. What did you all think of the new trailer? Did you guys like it? Are you excited with the new protagonist and setting, or are you disappointed? Do you have any theories of your own, or have you found any clues that I missed? Please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and theories about where this new game might take us. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all next time.